Hello, my name's Sam Taylor, and this is a brief presentation that complements the written report for assignment 2 for the subject Strategic Games for Business. Just a quick disclaimer before we continue, as this is meant to be a brief presentation. Just the main findings will be discussed of both the sequential game and the simultaneous game. For more detailed analysis, please refer to the report. So we'll begin by starting off with the simultaneous game, followed by the sequential game. So the simultaneous game is a game of indoor cricket that I was involved in. Okay, so just a quick rundown for those who aren't familiar with cricket. Indoor cricket is played by two teams. The batting team is the only team that can make runs. Each team bats once only. Players bat in pairs. The team that scores the most runs wins the match. And unlike other sports, there are no points in cricket, rather there are runs instead. Okay, so just a quick rundown of the scenario. So we batted first, we set a score for the opposition to beat. I was tasked with bowling the last over, or 6 balls of the match, where the opposition needed 8 runs to win. Okay, so the first 5 balls of my over resulted in only 3 runs, leaving the opposition with 5 runs to score off the last ball of the match. To achieve a 5, the batter here must hit the ball to the back net and complete a run between the wickets. And just a quick disclaimer, like the interaction between the batter and the bowler in cricket is simultaneous in the same way that interaction between a server and returner in tennis is simultaneous. Okay, so what are the strategies available? So I can either bowl the batter's toes, I can bowl away from the batter, and the batter has a couple of choices as well. He can give himself room to counter me bowling at his toes, or he can stand his ground, which would be more suitable if I bowl away from the batter. These weren't the only strategies that were available to the batter and the bowler. However, they were the only strategies that had been used during the over thus far. So we'll have a quick look at the payoff matrix, which are represented as percentages or the probability of either team winning the cricket match. So here is the payoff matrix. And this is what we call a zero-sum interaction game, as one player's gain is another player's loss, the players being the two teams. Okay, so what are the pure Nash equilibria? So we use the best response method to determine this. So if the batter decides to stand his ground, I would be best served bowling at his toes. If the batter is to give himself room, I would be best served to bowl away from the batter. Conversely, if I bowled at the batter's toes, the batter will be best served by giving himself room, and if I bowled away from the batter, he will be better off standing his ground. So there are no pure Nash equilibria for this interaction, as neither quadrant has sort of two satisfiable outcomes. So what are the mixed strategy Nash equilibria? So in the report, to find the mixed strategy equilibria, I assumed the following, and they were: the probability that I chose to bowl at the batter's toes is P, the probability that I bowl away from the batter is 1 minus P, and the probability that the batter stands his ground is Q, and the probability that the batter gives himself room is 1 minus Q. Okay, so we did the calculations in the report, and the results showed the batter should stand his ground with approximately 38% probability and give himself room with approximately 62% probability. And then I should bowl at the batter's toes with approximately 31% probability, or bowl away from the batter with approximately 69% probability. So what are the chances of my team winning the match? So if both players or both teams play according to their mixed strategy, our team has a 69.3% chance of winning the match. So my bowling strategy has been working so far, and I would just keep on going with this strategy. So it's up to the batter, who is facing the last ball, to take a risk to improve his team's odds of winning. And then I need to be aware that the batter may take a risk to improve his odds and decide what I can do to counter the risk he takes. So one of the most common sort of risks that a batter would take is to advance down the wicket, turning like a full ball at the toes or a full wide ball into a full toss, which is easy to hit. And then as I was running the bowl, if I sort of saw the batter coming in or sensed that he was going to come down the wicket, I would then pitch the ball a bit shorter to counter him coming down the wicket. All right, so how did the scenario play out? Well, I bowled a well-executed ball away from the batter, as depicted here. The batter gave himself some room. The batter was unable to hit the ball, and we won the match. So was it the right play, or did I get lucky? So I pretty much played according to the Nash strategy equilibria. So I chose the high percentage pay as it was to bowl away from the batter. And just having a look at the payoff matrix, we can also see that bowling away from the batter also guaranteed our team a higher chance of winning. Okay, so we'll go through the sequential game now, which is reporting abuse in the workplace. So, abuse in the workplace costs Australian businesses billions of dollars every year. That's sort of more devastating than that is that exposure to an unsafe workplace can ultimately, in the worst case scenario, cost people's lives. Okay, so the scenario that I was put in was a person from work reached out to me regarding abuse from her manager. And she reached out to me because I was sort of exposed to the sort of same situation 12 months earlier from the same manager. Every time someone raised an issue over her behaviour within the department or the manager's behaviour, nothing had been done, and unfortunately the behaviour continued. Fortunately, I had a good relationship with somebody from outside of the department, from the executive team within the organisation, and so we had to decide whether to speak up or stay quiet. And the other person is player 2 in this game. So how will this play out if I move first? Okay, so in the report, sort of there's a brief explanation of how I've sort of come up with all the payoffs. So if I went first, my options are to speak up or stay quiet, and then depending what I do, player 2 can either speak up or stay quiet. If I decide to speak up and then player 2 stays quiet, I can either keep speaking up, or I can just shut up. Bearing the fact that if I keep speaking up, my chances of sort of a successful or a satisfiable outcome is less than if we both sort of speak up. So to find the rollback equilibrium, so if I spoke up but the other person didn't, I'll be better served by keeping quiet, as the going through an investigation, given the chance of winning, way less than if I keep quiet. And we'll just sort of show the rest of the rollback equilibrium, which is explained in the report. And so the Nash equilibrium, or the rollback equilibrium, is stay quiet, stay quiet, stay quiet, shut up, which gives me a payoff of -1 and player 2 a payoff of -2. So how will this play out if I move second? So there's some slight differences in the payoffs, mainly because player 2 is the one who has been through the most recent trauma. So her payoffs in both cases actually are slightly worse than mine. So if I move second, so player 2 goes first, the same rollback equilibrium is in fact achieved, and the same payoffs as well. So it's sort of clear from from this, there's no first or second mover advantage because both payoffs are the same and the rollback equilibrium is the same. So how did I play the scenario in the end? Well, I made the first move by having a chat with my contact from the executive team. Player 2 was initially happy with my move, but ultimately decided to stay quiet. As a result, I decided to shut up. Sure, my payoff by doing this was -2, but it could have been a lot worse if I kept talking and got sort of dragged through an investigation with only sort of a 10% chance of sort of coming to like a satisfiable outcome. And so by doing this, my payoff was slightly lower than if I played the game optimally. So, would I have played this differently? This is a very difficult question for me to answer. Look, I think the only way that these sort of situations can become less prominent is for perpetrators to be held to account. And I think the only way that they can be held to account is if people speak out against their behaviour. But speaking out comes at sort of at a cost as well to the people's sort of mental health who do decide to speak up. And so I honestly don't know whether if I was presented with this situation or a similar situation again, I honestly don't know whether I would speak up initially or stay quiet. I'd like to think that I would speak up, but it sort of had a fair effect on me as a result of getting involved and speaking up. So it's a really tough question to answer until I'm put in that situation again. Hopefully I never am. And that's the end of the presentation. Thank you.